Hello, good evening, and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to World Online Racing. I'm Frostbreath, aka Rob, and next to me, once again, it's been a while actually, Epic is back in business. Epic, good to see you here. Hope you're alright.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's great to be back. I know I've been gone for 2 weeks, but I am finally back once again. And this time, even though it's been a while, we're going to a track that I do despise, but I come to love to hate it. And that's the track of Miami. So I'm interested. I've missed 2 races, but I'm just looking at the standings, and it's just so much has happened without me knowing.
Exactly,
This
yeah.
is absolutely crazy. One of those things, which was actually back in round 7 in China, was Stefano Amazio winning. Of course, last race, Modesto Mina winning for the second time this season. Absolutely crazy.
Modesta Mina, yeah, whenever he's around, tends to win races. Of course, his first win was inherited after his 3-second penalty had been removed post-race due to unfair proceedings by the game. Dea Demechoglu, though, is still leading the championship. He managed to rebuild his gap a little bit last time round in Austria with a third-place finish right there. But of course, we cannot ignore those non-finish positions he had in both Monza and China, and of course his less than optimal race in Canada. So let's see how he will be doing today. It's, as you said, round 9, Miami, the penultimate round. 27 points is gap to Wilson Hall, who has taken over second place from Amos Lorito. Amos Lorito is now sitting in third, also within a shot of the championship, and also technically still possible to claim that title are both Luke Wolstow and Stefano Ramazio. So that means 5 people at the moment can claim that title still, but I'd say the closest fight is going to be between the top 3.
Yeah, definitely, I do agree. But the one thing, of course, for Derhart is that he doesn't want to drop even one single point, literally, to Wilson Hall. So tonight is all about finishing ahead of Wilson Hall and making sure that Amos Lorito doesn't close in by 5 points. And that's going to be an important thing, of course, for tonight, is specifically that. Because, of course, if Derhard does that, he'll win the championship, which will be his first ever Tier 3 championship, which will be very interesting. One thing, though, for Derhard is he's got to remember he might have taken a hat-trick between round 2 and 4, but he hasn't won since. In the 4 races that have come, he still hasn't won yet. And so he's gone, I mean, he's only scored 21 points in the last 4 races. That's less than he's scored in just 1 race back in round 4. So he's really got to turn things up a bit in the next, in the next sort of, over this race, really. He has to get that victory to completely seal the deal of him winning the championship.
Yeah, as long as he outscores Wilson Hall, he'll be fine, as Wilson is 27 points behind. However, if Wilson outscores Dea by, let's say, 2 points or more, then he's still within the technical chance of grabbing the title. So it's going to be exciting. I wonder which Dea Demechoglu we're going to see tonight, whether it's going to be the first half of the season man or the second half of the season man. If it's the second half, we might still have a title fight next week in Brazil. If it's the first half, Dea, we might actually see him claim the title tonight. We'll find out. Of course, Wilson Hall will also have to be at top form. Same goes for Amos Lorito. I saw a fan, of course, in the previous chat cheering him on, as we are actually going live at the moment. Let me grab that fancy Miami screen for you. Also, let me have a little look at the weather coming up. Looks like it's going to be dry all throughout qualifying as well as through the race. So things are looking good for those drivers who do not like the rain. And I'd say that's the most of them. And all we have to do now is wait whoever comes out first.
Of course, one of the things, of course, which is so interesting about this track, well, not interesting, but slightly funny, I would say, is that this track, of course, a small bit of information about it is that it is, of course, in a car park.
That's interesting,
quite literally.
actually, yeah.
And so it does make me laugh when I hear that F1 goes to race in a car park. So it's a slightly odd thing that you don't expect to hear. But I do have to say, though, one interesting thing that will come down in the next moments here in qualifying is definitely the grip levels. As I see Alessandro Finn's getting a little bit racy with a Haas. Basically, the whole thing for this grid is that the grip is quite low, and the braking, you have to brake quite early. And on top of that, just to make it worse, the corners are S-like. They're tight, they're twisty. And so I don't think the drivers are going to be having the most fun, but the most fun will be, of course, stepping on the top step of the podium, either winning the championship or winning, of course, the race. And so, you know, qualifying is going to be very important because that's what you can see on the track as we go round. Only that sort of back straight can you really make an overtake for the first sort of half of the lap. And then, of course, you've got the long back straight, which, well, the third and final straight, which is just so incredibly long, and you can make, of course, an overtake into the hairpin. But again, those are really the only two places where you can make overtakes, and so really, qualifying is going to be just as important as the race will be.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we shouldn't forget the drivers like to call it the Mickey Mouse section, isn't it? That's like turns 14, 15, and 16 before you go into the big back straight. That is always an interesting section of the track to see how the drivers will negotiate. Nonetheless, let's see and let's hope that these drivers will not create a car park of Formula 1 cars themselves tonight and keep them all in one piece. As the first one out is Alessandro Finn. He's had a less than ideal season, I'd say, so far. So let's see if he can claw back some extra points in the tail end of this season and the game in general, as of course the beta of the next game is in full swing at the moment. We're hearing several different stories about whether it's good or not, but we're gonna have to wait and see with the gameplay video coming out very soon, I believe, as well. Nonetheless, Alessandro Finn currently going through turn 7 and approaching turn 8, and then comes a very sort of twisty straight right here as he the first sector right now is at 29.349. Closing in behind on him is Jeremy Gallagher in the Williams, who has gained that full-time seat. Elliott is in his team, coincidentally, as a reserve driver. Of course, we all know that he was a full-time driver in Williams before. He wasn't able to make that many races, unfortunately. Also had a not-so-great season, so to say, and right now he's back in his good old car. But at the moment, Alessandro Finn in the so-called Mickey Mouse section, then heading on to the long back straight in Sector 3 right there, 1 minute 1.227. He's going to approach a little bit of traffic, but I'd say apart from the Alfa Romeo, everybody is going to be able to move out of his way, and I think even the Alfa Romeo won't be much of a problem for him. Past the speed trap then into turn 17, and with only a few more corners to go, let's see what the first banker lap of the night is going to be.
Coming up to the line here, we're going to see Alessandro Finn. This man's put in some good times before, and it's a 1 minute 26.420 to start tonight. We could see Jeremy Gallagher. He goes up into P1. He's quite a bit far ahead, so, you know, 3/10. Luca Wolstow not having the start he would have wanted, but the start that Derha would want. 2/10 ahead of one of his championship rivals, of course, which is incredibly important. I think the next driver coming up to the line, yes, it was Candy King. He's on the hard tyres, though. He's gone for an interesting tyre strategy. Of course, he's gone quite a bit slow because of that tyre choice. We've got a Mercedes coming up to the line, and that is Mizzy. He's on an outlap, though. I think we have an Alfa Romeo. That's Riley McKay. Goes slowest out of the drivers on the softs. Then we have Derha's teammate, Linus Donovan. He goes P5. Gregory, I'm sorry, I'm just going to call you Gregory, my friend. He goes P7. Wilson Hall, though, he's definitely not... He's not giving up that championship chance, just over a 10th and a half behind his championship rival, Derha. Stefano Mazio splitting them in third place. We've got Ryan Grob, puts in a very strong time, 0.02 of a second behind Derha, which is pretty impressive. As you can see, actually, the Red Bulls, just like in real life, slop themselves ahead of most of the other drivers. And it is Amos Cerrito and Keanu Latour in that order. Quite an interesting order so far. I believe that is almost everybody. I think Mizzy is the next driver to come up to the line. He's invalidated anyway. Aljak, Quinton Dupuis, Mizzy, Danny Cohen, Drax, all yet to set a lap time. But one driver I'm actually rather disappointed for his sort of first lap is actually the man of Wilson Hall, down in P7. I know that it's only 0.2 separating the top 7, but still, compared to his average this season, he's definitely been further up.
Yeah, thankfully it's only the banker lap, and as you said, the Tier 3 is really close in terms of qualifying this season on average. So with P7, Well, if he gains a 10th more, he will be already up to P6. If he gains 2 10s, he'll be pretty much near the top already. Somebody who is near the top is Amos Lorito, alongside his teammate Keanu Liotel. For this, this is crucial for Amos, because he's in 3rd in the standings at the moment. Both his rivals, Deja Dimishoglu and Wilson Hall, are a bit further back. Deja has now dropped to 4th position, just 2 milliseconds ahead of Ryan Grob. So he'll definitely have to up his game a bit more. I'd say he's got everything to lose, so it would probably be wise for Deja to play it a bit more safe. Although when his rivals are around, we might see an explosive finale coming in, and I'm ready to see what's going to happen there. I see a car standing still. That's Yumayo Pataya's Alfa Romeo in turn 17. He's going extremely slow. I think he might have completely run out of fuel right there. He's absolutely just crawling. Look at that. He's crawling back to the pit lane. There's a very confused Red Bull coming up behind.
He does have no fuel.
Yeah, exactly. He's completely out of it, as I said.
And Keanu is not going to be very happy.
He's like, what on earth is going on here?
Hang on, wait. He just sped up towards the end of the pit lane. That really confuses me.
That's a bit sus.
Yeah. Candy King, by the way, still on those hard tyres. This man we know for his extreme, yet quite a bit of the time, effective strategies. Of course, this season, they haven't seemed to pay off as much as in previous seasons. Of course, he got a win, and I believe it was Bahrain, on an absolute exceptional one-stop strategy. I think it was a season or two ago. But here, with this season, he's had his struggles a bit, hasn't he? I think he's realised that this season, I think after the first race or not going to be like he usually was sort of last season. Or even the season before, he was the man who was sort of fighting inside of the sort of top 8 a lot of the time. I think this season he's really seen that he's not the man that's on that pace level so far. I think he kind of knew that around maybe round 2 or 3, carried on pushing, but I have seen that he's been quite a bit further down the order compared to where I usually see him.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for him, especially if you compare him to his teammate Stefano Romazio, who's still within a shot of the title. Candy King is simply hanging around somewhere at the bottom lines of the standings at the moment. Right now he's just trying out things on the hard tire. I'm not sure if that is a smart strategy. At the moment he's more than 4 seconds even slower than Roland Alfredson, the slowest of the qualifiers at the moment. And there are still 5 more to come, so he might potentially be starting from the back of the grid. However, there's still Danico. And Danico right now is known in Tier 3 for starting from the back of the field with, unfortunately... Yeah, he's a legend, but with very little success, unfortunately, in terms of climbing up the grid. His best result still a 4th position, I believe, in Azerbaijan. I can't see the standings fully right now. Still impressive, but I think he would have liked a bit more than that. So let's see if both Miami and Brazil can bring that to the table, unless he's going to try hard right now, because at the moment he is on a hot lap. He's about to cross the line, but he cut the corner too much. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, because that corner isn't very often cut, and he invalidates his lap time nonetheless. I couldn't see what time it would have been, but maybe it was just testing the waters.
He would have gone P10.
Well, I think he was just trying to show his pace to himself and see how fast he was going to be with this setup, and it looks like he's in the midfield then.
I mean, usually drivers celebrate being further up the order. Danny Coe, this man
just celebrates for sitting on it.
Yeah, he just celebrates for sitting in the pits.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what that man can do.
I like it.
I have to say, we've got quite an odd duo. Oh, and Ryan Grob, 5 place grid penalty for illegal blocking. By the way, that will be a lobby restart.
Yep.
Sadly. And it's really disappointing because it's not even the end of qualifying either. This is only their 2nd runs in qualifying. But as I was saying, we've got quite a unique and quite, as we know, 2 of the most either strange or great drivers at the same time in Tier 3, Danny Coe and Drax as teammates. Both of them, for their crazy strategies, are something else. But I do have to say, it's quite an interesting duo to see in the French outfit. But one driver, though, that I do want to talk about, who's actually having a really tough season, I was going to say about somebody, but now Luke Walstow goes to the top of the times, only 600ths faster than Jeremy Gallinier, but remember, it's also 2nd runs. I think Ryan Grob is improving on his lap. Roland Alfredson went P8. The driver that I was actually going to say about who's been struggling a bit this season is Linus Donovan, as Alessandro Finn, out of nowhere, goes to the top of the times. 1 minute 26.076 to make it clear. 16 thousandths of a second between the top two. Derhar is improving though by a massive 10th.5 already on his lap. This man's been in, to be honest, in the last 3 races we haven't seen it, but overall, at the beginning of the season, in the first 4 races we really saw it, him being in a league of his own. Talking about league of his own, Wilson Hall pulls it into the 1 minute 25s. It's a 25.936, and I did not expect to be seeing that here tonight, especially for the second runs.
Yep, but I think that time might be smashed. Daya was 4 tenths up in the middle sector. That means it is going to be at least a 25.8. The thing that Ryan Grapasjan does just now. Gregory Ptsibil goes up to P11, but this is the championship leader that is going to come around the final corner right now and might potentially destroy Ryan Grob's time. There it is, a 25.732. 1.5 tenths clear from Ryan Grob, and completely almost demoting his rivals to another tier right there, because that is a mighty lap from the man who can win the title tonight. This is the position he wants to be in, because as I said, he only needs to outscore Luke Wolstow, and if he doesn't score points, he will have to hope that that Wilson Hall will not score more than 1 point. Because the title at the moment is looking a little bit firmer in his hands, but it's only qualifying, there's still some time left. The others have been improving massively as well. Let's see how Amos Lorito is doing at the moment. He's sitting in the pit lane, so that's Keanu Liato, who is out on track right now, Amos' teammate. Let's see if he can bring his car a bit closer to the top as he goes through turn 16 right there. There comes Sector 2. Let's see, backing out right there. Keanu Liato is given up. That means one of the... both McLarens actually pass him, or both have done a qualifying lap as well. So it's going to calm down a little bit more. Let's see if we can find somebody else on a hot lap. Yumaya Pataya, no, he's not going fast either. Riley Mackay has just improved to 4th. So right now, I'd say the calm before the storm.
Definitely. I have to say, it's quite impressive to see not only Derhar get into the 1 minute 25.7s, and a low 7 as well, which I am just incredibly surprised by, is also the man of Ryan Grob. We know he's quick. We know he's fast. We've known he's fast all season. But when we've seen him in other races and other qualifyings, he hasn't been this fast. Where, ahead of sort of the mid-pack, even the high part of the mid-pack, he's been 2-3 tenths ahead of them. We haven't really seen that this season. We know that Ryan Grob is fast from previous seasons. We know he's got a lot of pace behind him. But I think he's shown that potentially, if this man was to race in Tier 3 next season, he could be, if he goes full time, he could really be a championship challenger. He could have been this season, if, of course, he was full time.
Yeah, he's also been involved in a lot of incidents. I'm not sure how many of them were his fault, but he's just been an innocent bystander by those incidents a little bit too often, causing him to lose a lot of valuable points. His best result this season is only P3 in Monza 3 races ago. So let's see if I think he wants to end his season on a high, and right now he's doing quite a good job of that. 3 minutes 15 remaining, and we are approaching the final part of qualifying. There's still 4 drivers who haven't set a lap time, and I don't think I haven't even seen them out on track, or did I just miss something there?
No, only Danny Coe. Only Danny Coe has been out on track. Aljat, Quinta Dupuis, and Mizzy all haven't been out yet. We know that, of course, Aljat, he's shown he's got pace at times this season. He's shown that he can be strong, but you can't lie, he has buckled under the pressure sometimes when in a high position. I can't remember which race it was, but it was much earlier in the season. I believe he was up in somewhere like P5 or P6, and he just started making mistakes when the pressure got to him. Mizzy, of course, we know is a strong driver. He's got good pace. But, of course, again, it just seems like his qualifying seems to let him down a bit. Quintin Dupuis. Last season, we spoke about Quintin Dupuis practically every single race. This season, I don't want to be mean, but I haven't really had a lot to talk about Quintin Dupuis. it feels like he's been a bit of a spectator this season. I'm not trying to like be rude or anything to him, but it just feels like watching him, I haven't seen as much as I did last season. So maybe he's having a quiet season, but I also haven't seen him have any sort of big finishes like he did last season where we get P6 out of nowhere. So maybe it is just being a bit of a difficult season for the Aston Martin driver.
I think so, yeah. I think we said in Rally of Azerbaijan, he's a bit of an invisible driver at the moment. That's because he's been in the middle pack very often. Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle for him at the moment, though his teammate is on his way as he heads through turn 1. Alessandro Finn is looking quite rapid tonight. He's currently 5th fastest, 27.0, and I'm certain he's going to be able to find a little bit more time. But the driver I'd like to focus on right now is Amos Orbito, the championship contender, 3rd in the standings at the moment, only P8 in qualifying right now, but we do know that this man is quite capable of staying out of trouble, and he's really, really good at that. So if there's going to be trouble, he'll be the first to pounce and then make up several positions. Right now, half a tenth slower than his previous attempt, so he needs to find a bit more than through the middle sector. I'd say that's the sector where you can gain the most amount of time. It's quite busy at the moment on the back straight, as you can see on the minimap. A big yellow flag right now. Some drivers nearly at a standstill. Elliott is in there as well. He's one of those 4 drivers who decide to try a lap anyway. Quinton, Mizzy, and Danny decide to stay in. All 3 of them are going to pull a Danny Co. And there goes Emil's lap. He has invalidated it, and that means this run might potentially be over unless he can hurry up, charge some battery, and try again. But he's going to push on, it seems. The battery is still running dry, but there he goes. The battery is now offline, and I think he will not be able to pull in another lap with that little battery remaining. So, let's switch our focus. Let's see where the other drivers are. Let's see, Dare Demichoglu is the next one to cross the line. 11 milliseconds slower through Sector 2, and it's going to be a tight one then. Can he go even faster than that? Alessandro Finn has improved. He has gone very close to pole position indeed. Currently 2nd fastest. Who can beat him to that? Who can beat Dare Demichoglu, the first one who will get the checkered flag apart from Candy King, who has said still sitting on a 131. Dare Demichoglu across the line. What's it going to be? He's gone quicker through the final sector. 25.677. A great job by him. Ryan Grob then to cross the line. Nearly lost the car. Stays in 3rd. Stefano improves to P5. Let's watch Wilson Hall. His teammate is just ahead. Luke Wallstow to cross the line then. He does not improve. Wilson Hall. Let's see if he can get closer to his rival. Can he claim pole position? He can't. But he does improve to the front row. So that might be a mighty fine start by both the championship drivers on the front row right there. It's going to be very exciting indeed. Keanu Lioto is invalidated. He will not be able to improve. Would have been a little bit quicker there. Then I believe the next to cross the line, Jeremy, is actually in the wall. Jeremy Gallagher, his lap time is over. Elliott then has invalidated and he crashes into the wall. There goes his front wing. Not entirely sure what his plan is right there, if he's just having fun or whether he actually legitimately lost the car in turn 17. But that's the end of the run for the men in the Williams. The Williams curse, as famous as it is in Tier 3, does continue on. Gregory Pritzibel up to P8, and I believe, unless Amos is still on the lap, no he isn't, that is all laps done. So, Dea Demichoglu on pole position.
Very, very nice. One thing that I realized looking at the hairpin, because I saw a TV podcast view at the hairpin, and the angle that he got off of the hairpin, his car was not fighting him. For one little bit, there was no fight from that car, and it just did what he needed it to do. I mean, the car looked sharp, it looked quick, and out of the hairpin, the amount of grip he had, the amount of turning he had was surprising. And so really, I do feel like Deha has got something right here, that his car's just looking incredibly quick. One driver we can't count, well actually I want to say about 2 drivers we can't count out, was Alessandro Finn. He put in a really good lap time. And Linus Donovan, one of the last drivers to cross the line to go P4, Deha's teammate. Yes, he's 2/10 off of his teammate. But, let's make it clear, Linus Donovan has not really lit up any of the timing screens we've seen this season. You know, we've not really seen him get up to these positions. And so, to do that here tonight, and in this qualifying as well, already in a very heated qualifying, with championship contention going on, that's pretty good.
Yeah, to keep in mind, this is only his 2nd race in Tier 3. His first was, I just saw it in the standings, in Canada, where he got P7 straight away. And right now, he's a reserve driver, of course, but he's close to Dea Demircioglu. So maybe he'll be able to help out his championship-aspiring teammate from P4. He does know that the nearest rival of Dea is in second place, right behind him. And that means we might see some very exciting things happen for the Haas team indeed. But let's review the qualifying results. I believe we were left at P5. Ryan Grob, Stefano Romazio P6, Rainer Mackay in 7th, Gregor Petzibel then P8, Luke Walsdale will be having trouble from P9, Draxen P10, great job, Jeremy Gagnier P11, Amos Lorito in P12, the rest of the grid looking like this all the way to the bottom. 4 drivers without a lap time, Elliott, Quinton Dupuis, Misi, Danico. As usual, starting from last. And with a lovely restart coming up, let's have a quick look at the race start that should have been. Do keep in mind, the weather settings will be back to dynamic with this lobby restart. So potentially, the weather could be completely different from what we're seeing right now. According to the predictions, It would be cloudy in the first half and then sunny in the second. But will we see rain?
Maybe. We might see rain. I think the one thing with rain around Miami, and trust me, I've driven Miami with rain, with heavy rain, is that there's basically no grip at all. The track is also just really difficult to get round. We see in the drive a tight, snaky section in the middle sector. We always say that that's difficult when it's dry. Think about when that's wet.
Exactly.
Of course, the drivers, we're going to see chaos.
Yeah, let's see.
Ensue. We're gonna see chaos ensue. Anybody gonna crash? We want to see this. We want to watch. Oh, this is.
It's always so funny to just see them go straight on. Look at that.
This is what we're here for. We're not here for racing. We're here for this.
Yeah, I hope they'll do the same with the real race. Nah, just kidding.
Yeah. If they did this with the real race, oh my god,
that would have been scary.
I would just. Nah, mate, I'll be cheering. I'll be waking up at 3 a.m. to watch that.
I have to say, this is the quickest ever they've retired all from a race.
Yeah.
Before the first sector is done. So, props to them.
Never happened. I think for Derha, of course, on the area of championship-wise, for Derha, of course, he's in a horrible spot. With, yes, it's P1. It's not terrible. Nobody in front of him. What I mean is he's in a terrible spot because his championship rival Wilson Hall is right behind him. If, for instance, they were 7th and 6th, at least Derha could be going, well, I can get some DRS off of this. Sadly, he's not going to get that. And so, in a way, it's put him in a difficult position.
It has and it hasn't, I think, because Wilson has also got everything to lose. If he goes aggressive, he might risk damaging his car, and that will really hurt his championship hopes. So, yeah, I see what you mean, though. It's not going to be easy for him.
I think another driver who I think there's one man who can really capitalize off of this race and really needs to capitalize on either some crazy start or something is one of, I think, 2 drivers, and that's Alessandro Finn and Ryan Grob. They both need to, if possible, they need to capitalize off of the battling at the front. Because we know Ryan Grob, like you said, has been in quite a few incidents this season. And not only he's been in a couple of incidents this season, he's also just had his own sort of problems on his side. On top of that, it's the same for Alessandro Finn. He's also had the same sort of problems with incidents. And so really, for both these guys, if they get a really strong race in Miami and one of them wins, this could be something that could see the championship get rather interesting going into the final race.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what those drivers will bring to the table. And look at the standings right now, and I see Quinton Dupuis is actually ahead of Alessandro Finn right there. Alessandro finishing P6 in Saudi Arabia, P7 in China, and then Quinton Dupuis with a P9 Bahrain, then a P8 in Azerbaijan, a P4 in China, which was by far his best result in the season. But he also missed 3 races, while Alessandro has only missed 2. So that's also saying quite something. I'm trying to remember. Jeremy Gallagher, I believe, did really well in qualifying as well. He was the one to bring Williams into the scoring board. His teammate Pulkes isn't here tonight. They both have replaced the other full-time drivers of Elliott and Belen Talikis, who have stepped down from their full-time seat. So let's hope they can continue, or at least Jeremy, and can continue that trend of scoring points for the team in blue. Also, I'm quite impressed by Drax. He hasn't had a great season. He suddenly won in Monza by an absolute brilliant strategy. A masterclass in that, I have to say, and a brilliant amount of overtakes there. He's starting from 10th, which is right bang in the middle. Let's see what he can do from that position. In other words, a lot of stories potentially to be told here in Miami, don't you think?
Definitely. One driver I actually want to talk about, even though I don't believe he is racing tonight, and that's Tomas Kokony.
Yep.
That's the man who I just want to talk about quickly, because he's scored 22 points this season. Opening race, he got a podium. And I think we both, because I think we both got excited, because we had this really close sort of 5-6 way battle for the win and for the podium. Nobody ran away with it. But then we came to the second race, and as I remember, Tomas Kokony got unlucky. He had contact.
Yep.
So he got really unlucky.
Same story for him as his teammate, isn't it? Both McLarens have just been really unlucky in terms of incidents.
I mean, there's that, and then I think a driver who's also shared the kind of same unluckiness is, I want to say Zach Miles, but also Alessandro Finn. Those three all, like Zach Miles last season, we know he was really strong last season.
Mm-hmm.
This season, you know, Zach Miles has raced, 6 times? And he scored points in 2 of those races, and those were 14 points.
Just with a little asterisk, though, because I know you weren't there at Monza, but he actually had won that race, but he got hit by a very big post-race penalty, so would have been a win for him.
I remember seeing the incident report. Alessandro Finn, there's not many words for him. There's not many words for that man, really.
He's got the speed.
Yeah, if he has a really good finish tonight, I mean, if he, let's say, finishes, because he's third. If he finishes third, I mean, that will climb him up the order massively. You know, that will take him all the way up into the top 10.
Yeah,
that will take him 10th. And so it is incredibly close there. But then there's also Drax. But what I mean is that out of all of these guys, you know, they're all incredibly strong. But in some way, I feel like there's been some unluckiness for some drivers. Tomas Kokony, he got unlucky in round 2. He got unlucky in round 3. He, of course, had a DNF in round 4. And then since then, he did race twice and scored 4 points between the 2 races. So it's not necessarily terrible finishes. He still scored points. But overall, for a season, it was a bit lackluster and unlucky. Same for Quentin Dupree. He had a really good China. He was really good in China. I actually watched that stream. It was really, really good. And that was pretty much, I would say that's pretty much the height of Quentin Dupree's season. Same for his teammate Alessandro Finn. His height of his season came in round 2. And of course, he got 7th in China. But it's still a thing of between, you see, a lot of the drivers, like the McLaren drivers, the Aston Martin drivers, and the Mercedes drivers, all share this. Of course, Gabriel Quintino, I would say, was probably the unluckiest out of all of them. He got pole position, if you remember, in what was it, round 1? Mm-hmm. And he disconnected.
Yep.
And he had...
Same for Imola.
Yeah. And so this man got incredibly unlucky in the first 3 races of the season.
And last
week
he just
stayed unlucky. Yeah.
Yep.
He's just stayed unlucky since. And so you kind of got this Mercedes, Aston Martin, McLaren, Mercedes power, by the way.
I was about to say that. It's all 4, Williams included, of course. Don't forget those original guys. But anyway, we're on our way already. They're really quick in selecting car setups, and it's 5 lights already. Let's see if David can keep... Oh, dearie me, things are going horribly wrong. That's 3 drivers with a drive-through penalty. What on earth has happened to these 3 fellas? I wonder if this is going to be another restart, but it looks like the race is going to go on. But David Alessandro Finn, and Ryan Gross have been hit with a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, and that is horrifying news for the championship leader, and brilliant news for Wilson Hall, as he's now technically the race leader. Linus Donovan right behind him, Luke Wolstow also trying to go past the Haas there as well as he goes on the inside, but he has to go past quickly. There he goes, now he can try and support his teammate if he still wants that after the big contact they both had in China. Luke Wolstow now right behind Wilson Hall, also fighting for the championship, so I'm afraid no cooperation between the AlphaTauri drivers right there. Anyway, other than the top three, everybody's gone off to a good start. Alessandro Finn is fighting with Deja Demicoglu despite the drive-through penalties. Here's the question, when they're going to serve it. There goes Luke Wolstow, he's still in the offensive, he's past another driver. Not surprising though, since he's starting on the soft tire. The only driver to start on the soft tire. We hear some contact on the back then, what's going on there?
It was Amos Lorito, he got absolutely smashed into the wall by, I believe it was the McLaren of Gregory. I believe it was the McLaren of Gregory, who tried to overtake him through this tight, twisty section and just rammed him into the wall completely. It's got no front wing, and sadly, I think that's ruined Amos Lorito's race.
Same goes for Drax. He has also lost his front wing, and now let's see the top three. There they go, they're going in. Oh man, this is painful to watch. All three going in. Now they'll be stone dead last, apart from Amos Lorito and Drax coming in to change their wing. And already we see groups starting to form. Drax has decided to throw in the towel immediately and has retired from this race. Let's see how the things... Sorry?
It was probably floor damage.
Yeah, most likely.
Something that can't be repaired.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him because they had a good starting opportunity right there. But right now we have got an AlphaTauri 1-2. I never thought I'd see the light of day for that situation again. The last time we saw this was in, I believe, Imola, and the Haas in third place. But that was there, Demicoglu. This time it's Linus Donovan. Let's see where the fights are happening. The top 8 is separated from the rest of the field. Umaya Patai is on his own. So is Quinton Dupuis, almost reconnecting there to Umar Pataya, and a lot of cars behind him following through. But this is an absolute nightmare scenario for Deja Demicoglu, Alessandro Finn and Ryan Gropp, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, especially for Deja, this is a championship winning possibility, this race, which of course would have been great to go, I've won with a race to go. But here, for one thing I've actually realised is Luke Wolstow, he's on a set of softs, and they already seem to be struggling from overheating. As you can see, he's been sliding around quite a lot on those fresh soft tyres. That's why sometimes the straights are quite nice around this track, because they're quite long. All of them are quite long. A lot of drivers, pretty much every driver is on the hard tyre, by the way. I believe there's only 2 soft tyre runners, so pretty much everybody's on the same strategy. One driver who actually came away from this rather well is Keanu Latour. He's up 6 places, same as Yuma. At Quinton time, same as Danny Coe, both up 8 places so far in this race. One man, though, I've got to talk about, who's actually had a good start, is Keanu Latour. He's up 6 places. He started 13th. Now 7th. He's on for the points in the Red Bull. His teammate down in 18th place, of course, getting that unlucky start, because for Keanu Latour, it happened right in front of him. He saw his poor teammate's demise. And, you know how we were talking about Mercedes' misery? Not only in real-life F1, but also here in WR Tier 3. It's more misery for them, because they're 18th
we've completely
and 19th.
jinxed it, haven't we?
They're looking like real life, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've also jinxed it for Amos Lorito, because I was telling in qualifying about he was able to avoid so many incidents. This one was unavoidable now. Oh, I see. I was about to ask, why did we get a virtual safety car? But that's because Misi is out of the race, and he's retired straight away, even though his car, I believe, was still able to drive back to the pit lane. But I think he's decided to give up. There might be more damage than could have been repaired then. That's another driver out in 3 laps. This race is absolutely wild. Now, unfortunately for the championship leader, this is not a full safety car. That means he could have caught back up to the field. Virtual only, so let's hope for his sake there will be more to come than that.
Did you realise he's actually dropped behind Alessandro Finn and Ryan Gropp?
I saw that happening,
I just realised that. I've just seen that. Sorry for my surprise reaction.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah,
there's so many things to keep track of right now. So
yeah, so I mean, this is a crazy moment, because he's now behind 2 of his closest rivals on race pace. And oh my God, Mercedes, what is happening to you? Oh my God. This season, last season, Oh, there's racing Ryan Grob and Alessandro Finn. They're getting a little bit racy for a moment. Well, specifically Alessandro Finn, but Ryan Grob. Just make it clear, don't race just yet. Of course, the drivers will know when to work together and when not to. But at the moment, there isn't much point. They're 7 seconds behind P13. I think they're starting to console themselves slightly too that they're not going to score points.
Yeah, but I think working together is still making them quicker than fighting, because I've been watching them a little bit. They've been fighting a lot over this position, causing them to lose even more time than they have already lost. So I'd say cooperating, trying to tow one another along, despite the very long DRS train ahead of them, is the best cause. But let's see, maybe they think differently about it. The race is still long, there's still 25 laps to come. Anything can still happen, especially if you consider what's happened already. It's a very exciting race so far. I've never seen strange incidents like this in league racing before, with 3 drivers in the top 3 getting a drive-through penalty at the start.
Oh, there's more racing.
Oh, dear me.
Alessandro Finn and Deha side by side. They're still going at it. They're making small bits of contact. Alessandro Finn, he ducks in behind the Haas, but the Haas almost spins it through turn 1. He almost completely binned it, and off for the exit. The Aston Martin, is he going to get a good exit? Yes, he is. He's actually going to get supreme exit. He's got a lot of straight line speed. Heading into the left-hander, he's going to let the Haas go. He doesn't really have a choice there, and actually compromises his line quite a bit for the next couple of corners. Is he going to send it down the inside? No, he's not. He's going to be taking the wider line. But yeah... This is the thing at the moment. They're still fighting. They're still wanting to fight. And compared to last lap, they've already lost half a second compared to this point last lap. So they're not... Even with Ryan Glob not being battled with over the last sort of lap and a half, he still has lost half a second. He's now 7.6 seconds behind. They've lost 7/10 compared to last lap. So they're losing a lot of time in the lap. Now, we've got to talk about what's going on a little bit at the front. Wilson Hall wanted to make a move on his teammate, who is on now overheating, bit worn soft tyres. But his teammate, Luke Wolstow, out the way. Are we having a bit of a Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg 2014 to 2016 battle going on here, where neither of them want to give in? Are we going to see a cataclysmic collision between the two?
Well, they've already had one in China, so I wouldn't be really surprised, to be honest. One thing's for sure, Luke Wolstow is not going to give up this position that easily, despite him knowing that his teammate has a much better chance of reclaiming that title. He's just going to go move on, put his head down, and go as quick as he possibly can. Right now, Wilson Hall is starting to get hounded by Linus Donovan. He's gaining and gaining. We also missed an incident between Jeremy Gallagher and Gregory Pizziba. I showed a little bit of it while the 3 squabblers at the back of the field were fighting for 14th and 15th position. Gregory Pizziba, I believe, came into contact with Jeremy, went off track, fell down to P12. Now both of them have made a pit stop and are back out once more. Alfredson is pitting again. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. He's actually retiring from the race, and that's number 3. And that means both Mercedes cars are now out of this race. The curse and the jinx is complete. Let's see then. Keanu Liato closing in as well. P5. Let's see if he's gonna go and make the move right here, but it looks like he's a bit too far back. So it's Wilson Hall. Now there he goes, side by side with his teammate. Also Linus Donovan going through as well. Luke Wolstow will have to yield. His tires will not have that much grip as the hard tires anymore, and he lets them go quite easily. Up he goes, Wilson Hall, into the lead of the race. That is crucial for him. 25 points. If the race stopped right now, that would mean he would close the gap to 2 points for the final round of the season. But Deja Demechoglu now up to P12 due to all of the incidents happening and starting to get closer to those points. 5.9 seconds from Candy King, who in his turn has got 3 seconds to the top 10. So all in all, it's 9 seconds for Deja until he gets back to the points. So yeah, let's see how he will be doing right there.
I do agree with you there. At the moment, by the way, that Mercedes is crawling along down the straight. I'm not sure what the AI is up to. But one driver I've got my eye on.
Who do you have your eye on? We're dying to know. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, there you are.
Sorry, my internet.
Yeah, I see you just left the session. That's unfortunate. Looks like Epic is having a little bit of issues. I'm not sure if he was going to talk about Elliott. Right now he's hounding Quinton Dupuis for 8th position as we speak. Luke Wolstow is trying to come back at his teammate, and as well Linus Donovan is going for the challenge for the lead of the race, and he successfully passes Wilson Hall for P1. And now it's both AlphaTauri side by side through the final corner. That is getting quite close and tight right there. We've got a yellow flag. That's the Mercedes of Roland Alfredsson still going around. The car is refusing to retire. That might cause serious issues for the other drivers right now. The fight though for the top 3 is now getting a fight for the top 5. Now 5 drivers win a 10th of one another. This is going to be very scary indeed. Well spotted there, Michaela Tinsky there in the chat. Alfredsson's AI is still going around. And it's going to be a pain, especially if he drives around on the straights when the yellow flag is out. That means other drivers cannot overtake one another. That's going to be a serious problem. Elliott now overtaking Quinton Dupuis, goes up into P8. He wants to salvage some bits of this season as he now starts to approach Vumayo Pataya for P7. We've got the battle for the top 3 still going on strong. Luke Wolstow is not giving an inch right there. He wants to reclaim the lead, but Wilson Hall had the better run through the corners right there. So there he goes into the lead once more. Linus Donovan back into 3rd position. So pretty much where he started after the drive-through penalties were served. Stefano Ramazio, Keanu Liato, Riley Mackay all closing in as well. Now it's 6 cars closely fighting for the win right now. And at the moment Wilson Hall is driven off a little bit. In the toe might have been broken already with 7/10 of a gap right there. Luke Wolstow is doing all he can on his old tires. Linus Donovan is having a little look. Stefano Ramazio is staying behind for the time being. Looks like Epic has actually left the commentary box. Let's hope he'll be alright. I can see him probably tagging me in the chat. Internet is dead, so that is very unfortunate indeed. Epic, if you're there, make sure to tag me again in the chat so I know when I can let you talk once more. Nonetheless, the race does continue on. We're still 21 laps to go, including this one. And it's Stefano Ramazio now starting to attack Linus Donovan. It's getting really close right there. And thankfully, Alfredsson's AI is finally gone. Nothing you could do there, Roland. Absolutely not your fault. It's just the game being the game. And let's pray that they'll fix things in multiplayer next time round. Although I do fear the worst. There goes Stefano Ramazio now really closing in. Not even using battery and trying to go side by side with Linus Donovan. Linus got more straight line speed. There he's going to have to try around the outside or the inside. Where is he going to go? He's going to go nowhere because Linus was just too quick at the moment. As he keeps on hanging on barely by a thread on 3rd position. Luke Wolstow in 2nd place in his old soft tire situation. Still hanging on to his teammate. This is the moment for Wilson Hall, especially through this sector. Look at the time he's gained through there. That is the moment where he can try and shake loose the rest of the drivers, including Stefano Ramazio and Keanu Liato. Amos Rito still far behind the rest. He will need a safety car to get back into championship contention. There goes Danny Coe in his last 2 wherever challenge. He's now up into 9th place. Let's hope for his sake that this time he can keep it up. There is Candy King also now overtaken by Dare Damage. Candy King has got absolutely no pace at the moment. 2 drivers pass him at the same time in turn 17. Dare Damage back on the verge of scoring points, but he still needs to make up 7 seconds. But now that they've started to cooperate, the gap is starting to close again. Looks like Epic is still having serious internet issues. That's a big shame. It's been a while since he was able to commentate in Tier 3, and now his internet has decided to be rude to him. So yeah, screw you, Epic's internet. Let's hope it'll be fixed quite soon, because the race is still very exciting indeed. The first round of pit stops will be coming up soon for Luke Wolstow. I'd say the first man who will go for a pit stop. He might go and try the undercut with going to the medium tires, which would be a stretch, especially by the end of the race. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him try that. He tries to keep within the slipstream of his teammate. That will make him as quick as the rest of the field, and I think that's a pretty smart move. We see another move potentially coming up. Yeah, there we go. Ryan Gropp on Dare Damage for 11th position. And this time they still cooperate. The gap now down to 6.5 seconds. And it's still closing somehow, despite the fact that the cars ahead are all 10 together with a very long DRS train. Much more slipstream effect, much more towing going on right there. But it looks like the cooperation is going quite well. Alessandro Finn is starting to fall back as well. He's almost out of DRS range there. He's just barely hanging on for that moment right there. So let's hope for his sake he'll be able to tow along with the rest. But it's starting to look ever so unlikely. Lap 11 then. And Luke Wolstow is still going strong, I'd say. At this rate, he will pit at the same time as those on the hard tires, and all of them will be scratching themselves behind the ear. And shouldn't they have gone on the soft tires? But then we might have had an entirely different race situation. So you never really know what the other drivers are going to choose. I don't even know whether the AlphaTauri teammates have discussed with one another what tires they were going to use, since they are no longer really friends, I believe, after what happened in China. I know I keep referring to that incident, but that's, I believe, the breaking point for the teammates. And now they're just fighting for their own glory, which is, of course, not surprising, since both of them have a shot at the title. At this rate, though, only Wilson Hall will be in for a shot at the title, even with Luke Wolstow finishing in second place. Doing a quick bit of math, that will bring him within 25 points of Dea Demishoglu, meaning Dea will have to score another 0-point finish next race, and Luke Wolstow would have to win it with the fastest lap in order to claim that title. It's quite incredible what's going on right here, right now. The race has turned around completely after Dea Demishoglu ruined his start with jumping it. If you've just tuned in, that is exactly what has happened, which is extremely unfortunate for the Turks' title hopes. Right now, we still got that AlphaTauri 1-2. The pit stops are getting ever closer. Linus Donovan is doing whatever he can to match them. Are within a title distance right there. Stefano Romazio also within title range with 47 points behind Dea Demishoglu, but that means he would have to win this race in order to have a shot of winning the title in his Ferrari. And that would be very impressive indeed, because he's only got one race win. He's got a 4th place in Austria. And other than that, it's been sub-top 5 finishes all along and one no points finish in Saudi Arabia. But fair play to him. He has been one of the most consistent point scorers, if not the most consistent point scorer here, Stefano Romazio, this season. So props to him for really being up there with the game, despite all the difficulties he's experienced so far. The halfway point of the race is coming up right now. We're still waiting for Epic to return. His return to Tier 3 has not been very nice to him, unfortunately. His OBS gave out before the stream even started, and then his internet decided to do the same thing. So yeah, sometimes technology can really be a big letdown. We might potentially see a fight between the Alfa Romeo teammates coming up as well, by the way. We see Rainer Mackay, Umaya Pataya driving behind one another in 6th and 7th place. We saw Umayo getting out of the slipstream a little bit to cool his engine, because engine overheating is definitely a thing in this game if you keep it within the line of the other car for too long. So a wise move by him indeed. It wasn't because he was going to make a move, because he was too far behind. If we're watching the top 4 still closely fight one another. Ryan Gropp getting incredibly close to Dea Demishoglu, 3rd turn 1. Alessandro Finn has come back a little bit. He is right there with Ryan Gropp and Dea Demishoglu, but through the corners it seems, especially on exits. It appears Alessandro is struggling a little bit. That's the point where he loses a bit of time and a bit of distance to the other 2 cars. Doing everything they can to get back to the top 10, but it's been a bit difficult. The gap has been increasing, actually, a tiny bit, and we are almost missing a fight here for 3rd place. Stefano Romazio is doing all he can to get past the Haas of Linus Donovan, and Linus doesn't really want that to happen for the sake of his teammate and, of course, his own podium. He hasn't had a podium here in Tier 3, and this is only his 2nd race. And this is his perfect opportunity to strike and go for a 3rd, or even better than that. He's still within the fight of the lead of the race. So there's all to play for. The gap's all almost equally as big, as you can see on the timer screen, except for Luke Wolstow's gap, who there came really close to Wilson Hall's other AlphaTauri, the colleague AlphaTauri, I'd say. And he's still going around. Incredible job on those soft tires. And the first one actually to back out is somebody on the hard tires. It's Riley Mackay from 6th on the grid, going in for the first official pit stop without a broken wing or something like that. Alessandro does the same thing. He's going to try and undercut the other two drivers who are fighting for 11th position. He's going for the mediums, Riley, of course he is. And he's going to try and make the undercut as big as possible, depending, of course, on when the others come in. Just got a message from Epic that unfortunately the internet in his home is still completely dead, meaning that he will not be able to return to this session tonight. And that means I'll be your sole commentator, your lonely commentator sitting in his chair, lonely in his room as well. But I'll do my best to entertain you as much as possible, which isn't difficult to be fair, simply because the drivers provide the entertainment and we just talk you through it as best as we can. That's our quote-unquote job after all. Voluntarily, don't forget that. Providing you the best entertainment possible, even in the final 2 races of a game that has seen many issues throughout its lifespan. There goes Luke Wolstow though. Man, you've got to give it to him on his soft tires. He's definitely not going to give up anytime soon. And I wonder if this was the move he made to go into the pit. Yes, it was. He wanted to get ahead to make sure nobody would be in his way. And Luke Wolstow will be coming in. He's likely going to switch to the mediums as Riley Mackay has done the same thing as he passes Jeremy Gallagher on track for P12. Let's see how much time he will have gained on the likes of, Luke Wolstow, for example. Ryan Gropp is in as well. Alessandro Finn has pitted the lap before. Let's see if Alessandro's made the undercut work on at least Ryan Grob. I believe Luke Wolstow is already on his way. He's already exited the pit lane right there. And interestingly, look at how powerful the undercut is. Riley Mackay has just come out ahead of the race leader right there, so that is impressive. It could mean that Riley Mackay at the moment is the technical race leader. Jeremy Gallagher is now hounding Luke Wolstow, only for a little bit though. His tires are much older, 9 laps old already due to the early pit stop after coming into contact with Gregory Prutzibel a few laps ago, which frankly didn't bring out the safety car despite the debris on track. That would have been an ideal call, of course, for the likes of Dea, Ryan and Alessandro.
Hello.
Hello. It looks like your internet has returned to life.
Yeah.
That's good news.
By the way, don't mind me just disappearing for 5 minutes. I went and found a plug. I had an odd system going on before. I see. It's now more reliable. It should be. I'm hoping it is.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed at the moment on my keyboard. At the moment, you're missing quite a few things. Luke Wolstow has managed to hold it out on the soft tires, switched to the mediums 1 lap after Riley Mackay switched to it. And now Riley Mackay is ahead of Luke Wolstow, despite being several seconds back a lap before that. So the undercut on Miami at the moment is really powerful. So make sure to rejoin the lobby ASAP. And then you'll be awesome. There you are. Welcome back in business. That's great news. I just rued the fact that that wasn't going to be a sole lonely commentator sitting in my room all alone. But it's all right. We're back here as a twosome. Wilson Hall is leading the race, extending his advantage as much as he can. I wonder if he's going to gamble the soft tires, but I'd say he's got too much to lose for that, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think the risk with this track is the undercut and the overcut. That's always the risk. Of course, on this year's game, just pretty much every single track, the undercut is better on every single track, pretty much. The overcut can be stronger on 1 or 2 tracks, and it also depends on the conditions. Am I right to say Wilson Hall's leading?
You're
Just
correct. And I also saw that Dea Demishoglu got a 3-second time penalty.
Oh,
it's a nightmare, this track for him. It's an absolute nightmare.
We jinxed him. We definitely jinxed him. We need to stop. We do this every time.
If he wants to blame someone, he can blame us.
Yeah, blame me, because I said he was going to, stroll through. Linus Donovan, though, trying to take the lead of the race. He has, but he's going into the pits anyway, so it wasn't really a lead of the race. Along with Stefano Ramazio, he's also going in with Aljat, who's found himself up in this race. Danny Coe, this man, P4. he's on the next one. Yeah, so at the moment, like you're saying, this is going to be an important moment. One of my questions is, what has happened to Alessandro Finn? Did he stop?
He did, yeah.
Okay, yeah, now I'm getting it. But, yeah, one driver that I'm surprised that's actually doing incredibly well is Yuma. Yuma's doing a really good drive at the moment. Incredible up in their P3 and still within a second of P2 as well. The fact that this is how close even drivers who were sort of between first and sort of 12th, 14th, and this was kind of the gap that we were looking at, is pretty crazy to think that, you know, all of these guys are sort of within 3-4 seconds of each other all together, which really shows how close this tier is. Wilson Hall, though, by the way, I can tell you, he's actually already lost 6/10 to the drivers, to, for instance, Alessandro Finn. He's already lost 6/10, and Alessandro Finn hasn't finished his lap either. He hasn't even finished Sector 2 yet. So there's definitely going to be around a second to a second and a half per lap on fresh mediums. So maybe Wilson Hall is going a little bit risky. I suspect he'll pit this lap. If he doesn't, I'll be quite shocked. So let's see. Is he going to come in? Yes, he is. He's coming in. The AlphaTauri followed by a Red Bull, which we never say in real life. But we're saying it here today. Over the top 5 come in. Luca Woolstow. He's going to be taking the lead of the race. You can see, actually, I can't lie, these guys quite close. I think Yuma's just got been held up slightly in the pits by a couple of cars. But at the moment, this actually leaves Riley McKay up in P2 on for a podium, an unexpected podium, I can't lie. But Deha, this man, with the lead he has over P4, he won't be able to make it to the end of the race, by the way.
No, he still has to pit. This is still his original tyres. I'm also watching an extremely close battle right behind them. The train led by Elliott. There was a lot of chaos going on. Thankfully, nobody had been hit, I believe. Stefano Romazio went wide in turn 17, the second to last corner, allowing Linus Donovan to get past. All of these drivers, don't forget, have just pitted for fresh tyres. Wilson Hall and Keanu Lioto having the freshest of the lot. Jeremy Gallagher finds himself in between all of this heavy fighting going on. We see Linus Donegan going for another move, this time on Elliott, to claim 4th place. He's now only 5.3 seconds behind his teammate, who has got yet to pit. Dea is making the most of the slipstream he can catch from the 2 race leaders, but I'd say he must come in at the end of this lap, and I think he's gonna go all or nothing and switch to the soft tires. I wouldn't be surprised. He's not got much more to lose with a 3-second time penalty and a disadvantage in terms of strategy and a drive-through penalty already. We see Danny going ahead there of Jeremy Gallagher. We see Elliott potentially, re-overtaking there. Linus Donovan for 4th place once more. Same goes for Wilson Hall, and Stefano Romazio nearly pushes the Ferrari into the wall, but this is crucial for him to get past as many cars as quickly as he possibly can, because he knows he has to score the points. And there he goes then, Linus Donovan trying to defend from Elliott, and he successfully does so. Stefano Romazio there nearly into contact with Keanu Lioto. The fight in this group is absolutely mind-blowing. They still haven't had contact, but we might have jinxed that one already as well, because we've jinxed everything this race so far. Elliott now still very close to Linus Donovan. I wonder who's going to come out victorious out of this big battle.
I do too. I have to say, at the moment, my favourite to win is definitely going to be Linus Donovan at the moment, in my opinion. He's definitely my favourite to win. Luca also, by the way, has just lost the lead to Riley McKay, something I did not expect to be saying today. But here comes Aljat. He's coming back at the Haas man of Linus Donovan, and into the left-hander. We're going to see once again Williams up to the top 5. Not very realistic, but we're gonna forget that for now. But at the moment, Wilson Hall, though, he is struggling a little bit to get past these 2 drivers in front. Remember, this was the man who was up in P2 earlier. Slash P1, he was fighting with his teammate a bit. And so he is a little bit all over the place. Of course, not wanting to be where he is. We can see move for the lead again, Luke Woolstow. We were talking about one AlphaTauri, we'll just talk about another. Luke Woolstow back into the lead.
I think they're cooperating.
Definitely, I do agree with you there. Deha, he's kind of... I don't want to... He's kind of left on his own. I feel a bit bad for him. He's really been left on his own. I think he's going to try and make it to the softs. Which 100%. He would probably pit this lap. I would say pit this lap to get onto the softs. Because we know after about 5-6 laps, they do go off.
Yes, and I remember saying 2 laps ago, he was having the toe of the race leaders. Look at that, a 4-second gap to the both of them right now. His tires are pretty much dead already. He's been pushing quite hard. His battery is flat as well, and his teammate is approaching very, very rapidly. So I wonder if Dea is actually sacrificing his own race to potentially help out Linus Donovan right here to gain that race win. If he allows his teammate to get past, then it messes with the likes of Elliott and Wilson Hall, and even Stefano Romazio. As the fact of the matter is that they're now going 3 wide to the next corner. Elliott coming out best. Wilson Hall actually moves ahead, both of them, and there he goes up to P4. He finds himself behind his title rival right now, who has yet to pit. This is absolutely crazy. Is this then the plan that Dea was planning all along? There with now his rival right behind. I wonder how hard he's gonna go defend against Wilson Hall right here. He's got no battery, he's got no DRS, he's got no tires either. So I'd say the defense is, there he goes, he's gonna go on the inside. Wilson has to go very deep indeed, and he has allowed there. Well, Dea Demichoke's got no choice. He's gonna dive on the inside though, trying to get past Elliott. And wow, this is absolutely insane. He's sacrificing everything, even his own car, and there he goes. It's all over for the championship leader. I don't think this was his intention, sacrificing everything for the sake of his teammate, but there you go. Dea Demichoglu has absolutely destroyed his hopes of scoring points tonight by going very aggressive against everybody. Elliott will be a very unhappy man, and I'm watching both of them right now. They're playing bumper cars together. It's getting quite ugly between the both of them indeed. Dea's burning more battery. It's absolutely wild, this situation right here. It's I think he's just given up on winning this race, and he's gonna have to go for the final race to claim the title. He will still have the lead even if Wilson Hall wins this race. But Wilson has got a 5-second gap to cover to the race lead, so there's still some hope, at least for Dea Demichoglu. There goes Stefano Romazio on the inside as well. I need to catch a breather, Epic. Please take over from me right here.
Yeah, I will. It's okay. You're safe. Yeah, I just have to say, Aljat now making the move for P12. Again, Jesus, this Aljat, of course, not going to be very happy with the Haas. Look at the way he's pushing off the Haas. He is, we can see he's very unhappy. Oh no, what is he gonna do? Oh, what is he gonna do? I'm worried what he's gonna do. I'm very worried. Linus Donovan now. He's gone deep into the hairpin. He's only lost 1 place from it, almost losing 2. But that was a very risky move all the way through. Deha and Aljat fighting again. This fighting is nuts. I don't know.
Coming in.
Oh god. Oh, thank god the pit lane. The pit limiter was earlier. Aljat retires. That Williams curse continuing.
I think he's just given up in frustration there.
Yeah. I think he was trying to take out Deha. I'm not. It just seemed like that. The way that he waited and let Deha by. That's what you see in open lobbies. Riley McKay now retaking the lead. I have to say, this is an interesting 2 fighting for the victory here between Riley McKay and Luke Wallstow. I don't think I've really said that once this season.
No, me neither.
You know, about either of these drivers fighting for a win. I don't think Riley McKay has even been on the podium, I don't believe, this season.
He has been second place in his only points finishing race in Monza. Luke Wallstow was also fighting for the win with his teammate in China, but that went quite wrong.
By the way, sorry to interrupt you, but I've just realised in the last half a lap, the top lost half a second to Wilson Hall.
Yep.
They're losing a lot of time. But remember, the laps are coming down as they come onto lap 23, only 7 laps remaining. This is something that's going to be interesting me. This is something that does interest me. Is what is going to be the position of this man, Keanu Latour, the Red Bull man? Because he's P5. If he overtakes Linus Donovan and he overtakes Wilson Hall, that's an easy podium. But if he lets Wilson Hall chase after the potential top, the top 2, maybe he could get dragged along and ultimately get a win. And so it's whether does he want to wait or does he want to attack now and try and make his own way? That's the big question here.
Oh, Dea. Just got enough 5-second penalty
can't
for
look.
crossing the
I can't
pit
look at
exit
that
line. I've
penalty
never seen that
area
patent
anymore.
penalty before.
I'm closing my eyes, okay, for the rest of this. I can't watch this pain. It's making me cry.
Yeah. Whoa.
It's oh,
Sorry, I just saw Kiana getting pushed by Linus Donovan, or actually vice versa. I should say Kiana pushing Linus Donovan through the Mickey Mouse section, and now he's ahead. Stefano Romazio also profiting from the poor exit that Linus Donovan has. There they go. Who's got DRS? Who doesn't? Keanu hasn't got DRS, and there goes Linus Donovan now coming out the better of all of them. He's taking his revenge there on Keanu Liotto by simply just taking back the position he'd lost in Sector 2, back in 4th place, but they are now behind Wilson Hall, who's managed to shake them all off, and he's got 3.2 seconds to go with 6 laps, including this one, so there's still all to play for. He's got to push as hard as he can. He's got no more threats from behind. Wilson Hall now gaining and gaining. His tires are 4 or 3 laps fresher than the race leaders, and that is his advantage he's got. He's got 35% battery. The race leaders, especially Luke Wolzo, has got much more battery than that, so we might potentially see another explosion happening in the finale of this race between the race leaders if Wilson Hall can close again. Look at that. He's gained another half a second, down to 2.5 seconds already. Man, this race is absolutely wild, isn't it?
It is, and by the way, if Wilson Hall wins this race, and he has fastest lap as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if he wins this race, he'll just be 1 point
yeah,
behind Gerhard.
Exactly.
This is we said right before the stream, and even in the beginning, this should be an easy one for Gerhard, right? I think we both said that because of his lead, because he had 27 points. And I said he doesn't have to drop any points and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And what does he do?
I believe I even said that he's got everything to lose, and that's exactly what happened. That's so unfortunate.
Why did you say that to begin with?
Yeah.
You knew what you were doing, but no.
We can predict the future.
The one man who's actually getting away quite well is Wilson Hall, and the other man who's catching up to him is Keanu Latour, which I'm quite surprised at the race caught up to him. 4/10 this lap, by the way, that he caught up to Wilson Hall. So he's So Keanu Latour, don't count him out of potentially getting this victory. Do not count him out, because this is the man who's not only keeping up, but also beating Wilson Hall through all 3 sectors on the last lap.
Yeah, but
do not count him out.
He's burned his battery in doing so. He's got only 6% remaining, and Wilson still's got 38%. So while he used nothing, Keanu used it all, and he still is just out of DRS range. And Wilson Hall is now within 2 seconds of the race leaders. He can see them move around. Riley Mackay and Luke Wolstow are starting to feel the hot breath of the men in second in the standings. We can almost safely say that right now Amos Dorito is out of championship contention with his 15th position. Deja Demishoglu, of course, will get the fastest lap. He just got it on his fresh soft tire, so it's very unlikely that Wilson Hall's going to get that fastest lap back on his 7-lap old mediums. So that will be 25 points at best, unless a safety car comes out very, very late, which is starting to become ever more unlikely as we speak. 1.7 seconds for Wilson Hall to go. He's lost a bit on the straights, of course, due to the DRS that Riley Mackay gets on Luke Wolstow. Riley stays behind. They are now doing perfect cooperation, as teammates should actually do, but they are cooperating for a potential race win and holding off Wilson Hall from gaining that race victory right there. We also see Danny Coe now starting to fight with Linus Donovan for P5 in the race, and he's getting ever so close to claiming that position from him to turn 1. It looks like Linus Donovan, while looking very strong, is beginning to struggle a little bit, trying to keep it up with Keanu Liotto, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, definitely. Another man who's actually struggling to keep up is Wilson Hall, by the way. He had a terrible first 2 corners. He lost 2/10 through the first 2 corners. And he's only, by the way, caught up by 1/10.5 so far on this lap. So maybe those medium tires are coming off a bit, but for the amount of time that's left, he's still taking off enough time as it stands. His battery as well is 10% lower than it was. So his battery is getting lower. He is having to use the battery to catch back up, but don't count him out, because you could just see on in the braking zone, 1.3 seconds it came down to. Definitely this is going to be pretty crazy at the moment. I mean, Danny Coe in there for a position, Wilson Hall in there for a potential victory. It all is coming down to this 1.1 seconds now.
Whoa.
Look at this. No, he doesn't. He won't get DRS just yet, which means he'll have to wait until lap 27. This man has gone so long without DRS. I feel so sad for him that he hasn't got it. But the man who will be happy that he's got DRS is Keanu Latour, because look at this man. He's been able to not only keep up with Wilson Hall, but he's actually catching up to him as well. And so we've got to give we've got to give a hats off to Keanu Latour, because this man is on Wilson Hall's pace.
I also like that Amos Lorita has just pitted for fresh softs and he's going to try and steal Deja Demircioglu's fastest lap, but just for the heck of it, I think. Even though he can't win the title anymore, he knows that Deja's got the fastest lap on his hands, and he's like, well, I can't win the title anymore, so I'll just steal your fastest lap. And that's what I'm going to do right now, is just come out ahead of the race leader, so he will not be lapped, and he'll be quicker right now as he's on fresh softs. But that is interesting tactics there from Amos, despite not scoring points for it. He's gonna try and steal it from him anyway. But there is Keanu Latour getting very, very close now to Wilson Hall's back. Half a second separating the both of them. Wilson still hasn't caught the top two. So it looks like Riley Mackay and Luke Woolston are actually starting to use their batteries a little bit to just stay ahead that far enough to make sure that Wilson doesn't come that close. But through the Mickey Mouse section, that's where Wilson Hall is actually really quick. Look at this, 1.1, 1.0. Is it going to be the moment? There it is, 0.9.8 of a second. Is this the moment where Wilson Hall connects? Yes, he does, to the race leaders. This is the moment he's been waiting for. Now he's got 2 laps and a tiny bit left to gain the lead of the race. This is going to be a hell of a final 2 laps.
It will, because remember, he's also got the Red Bull behind him.
Yes.
He's also got the Red Bull. And Danny Coe,
wow,
he's made his move, he's waited, and now he's made his move for P5. But in my opinion, maybe it's a little bit early, because there's still 2 whole laps to go in this race. And that is still the equivalent of 5 DRS zone he has still to go. He's not under attack, is he? I can't see through the wall. No, he's not, but there's a battle between Lance Sullivan and Stefano Ramezio. Contact there between the two of them. Absolutely crazy scenes in these last couple of laps. Now, Yumas are attacking the Ferrari round the outside. The Alfa Romeo pulls off an absolute impossible move that we haven't seen all day today. And that is a move that we always love to see around Miami. You can see Linus Donovan getting a little bit scruffy off the exit off of the first sector. By the way, the man of Wilson Hall is catching up more and more. And here comes Riley McKay, got held up slightly behind Luke Woolston. But that has actually allowed Wilson Hall to close up by 0.3 of a second. Look at that. Oh, contact between Keanu Latour and Wilson Hall. Yellow flags in the final sector. I believe that is for Gregory. And now, that contact, I just saw it coming. I saw Keanu Latour just sliding into the corner and it all going wrong.
And now we're approaching pretty much the finale of this race. It's Luke versus Riley versus Wilson versus Keanu, the top 4 fighting for the win of the race, and who is going to have the biggest balls in the final few corners. This is the moment. Oh, push already from Luke Woolston against Riley Mackay. The cooperation has now been thrown out of the window as they go side by side through the final corner. Wilson and Keanu waiting behind, prowling to take whatever position they can. There go the AlphaTauri teammates together, potentially side by side in turn 1. They nearly take one another there. Once again, almost contact between the lot of them. And now 3 cars. Riley Mackay has managed to escape a little bit from the 3 behind as they squabble for position. Danny Coe has managed to get back into DRS range as well. It's Luke Woolston from Wilson Hall, from Keanu Latour, fighting for 2nd place as Riley Mackay slowly moving away. Then we come on to Sector 2. Another part of DRS. A bit of a slide there almost for Riley Mackay as he defends on the inside of the corner. There's Wilson Hall. He has to take Luke Woolston right here if he wants to have any shot at the victory, but Luke closes the inside door. Wilson's got no choice to go around the outside, but it's Luke who's going to try and attack. No, it's actually Wilson Hall going to take the 2nd position. No, nearly taking it actually, as Luke Woolston defends brilliantly from his own teammate for the championship title. And there they go again then into the Mickey Mouse section. It's Riley Mackay still leading in this race, but he will have no DRS, and Luke Woolston is right behind him. He goes aggressively to the inside of the line, back to the outside. A little bit of a weave going on right there from Riley Mackay. Wilson Hall's battery is flat, but Woolston still's got a load of battery to burn, so this is his moment as they go into turn 17, and he takes the lead of the race in turn 17 right there. 3 corners to go. Wilson Hall will have to take third place. It wasn't enough to claim the lead, and Luke Wolstow with a vengeance take the race win. Riley Mackay in second, Wilson Hall in third, Keanu Lioto in fourth, and Danny Coe with a big applause for him as well in P5. Yumaya Pataya hang on to P6, and Stefano Ramazia will have to take pleasure there at 7th place. He'll probably not take pleasure with that position at all, as he was close to a race victory. Linus Donovan especially will be disappointed with only P8. Quinton will be happy with P9, and Ryan Gropp with a recovery from a drive-through up to P10. Same goes for Alessandro Finn in P11. Jeremy Gallonier, we haven't seen a lot from him, but he finishes 12th in the pit lane actually right now. Deja Demachoglu without the fastest lap, without anything to hang on to, loses almost the championship lead to Wilson Hall. The gap now down to 12 points.
12 points, that's all the difference is now.
Yep.
12 points between first and second. We said, right, we did say, and I've already mentioned this, but we did say that we'd see one guy, we would see the man of Deha get the position to take the championship this week. I thought he would. He didn't.
Nope.
I thought I would have good internet connection. I didn't. But that shows my guessing skills.
This is literally the worst situation for Deha.
Yeah.
It couldn't get much worse than this.
It could have.
Yeah, it could have retired, but it still would have meant no points.
It could have been Wilson Hall winning and only like
True,
1
yeah,
point
okay, yeah,
being
fair
the
enough. Yeah, it was the third worst
so
scenario.
All he needs to do is score 13 points more.
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to look at the standings quickly.
You can even score 12 points more, because Deja's won 3 races and Wilson's won nothing this season.
He hasn't won any?
No.
I'm checking the standings. I need to double check this, because I thought No, he hasn't. So, yeah, that's odd. I've never had that. Before, by the way, in PC Tier 3, I've never had a driver be inside of the top 3 in the standings without securing a victory.
Yeah,
so unless
it
Wilson
makes it
Hall
only more
or
impressive,
Amos
isn't it?
win,
Yeah.
unless either of them win, actually, Luca Wolstow, he'll be up to 3rd now, so he will count. He's in it. He's made the top 3.
He
But
is,
I've never had
let's
second
see,
place in the
18
standings.
points behind Deja
Yeah.
now, yeah. Wow.
So
we're going to have an epic finale next week.
Yeah, this is the thing. I've never had that, so I'm quite interested to see how that's gone. But that just shows the consistency of Wilson Hall this season.
Exactly.
Next level consistency from him. One driver I've actually got to say has done an amazing job without us really noticing is Quentin Dupuis. 18th to 8th, the Frenchman. Now, I know that we said during qualifying that he's had a bit of a lackluster season, shall we say. But
I think he's proven us wrong. He was determined to do so.
This race, he's proven us wrong. I apologize to you, Quentin Dupuis. You proved me wrong. You can score points. But what we were saying before, that was kind of the finish he would need, is like a points finish like that. So, really good. Congratulations to, of course, Luca Wolstow on the victory. Absolutely amazing. I believe, if I'm correct, we're going to be having interviews.
Exactly. I've just tagged them in the chat. I really, really, really hope we can hear from at least one of them. But before we go to the interviews, I'd say it would be nice for us to pick our driver of the day. Who would be yours?
Oh, that's difficult. Now, I did miss like 5... Look, what was it, like 8 laps I missed?
Mm-hmm. From what you've seen, who would you pick?
Ooh, that's difficult. To be honest, I'm going to have to give it to Danny Coe.
And I agree, actually, yeah.
He did something that...
He did everything right.
I think it would be Danny Coe first. If I'm being honest, Quentin Dupuis, he's got to get up on that list for me. And third, to be honest, I will say, I am going to say Keanu Latour, because he's had a couple of rough races. When you look at him in the standings, 6th in the standings, he's had sort of his last 3 races, they got him better 5th, but then P8, and then no points. So he's had a bit of a rough season, only 1 podium.
Yep.
And so I'll give it to him. He's actually had quite a strong race. But
Um,
maybe next week, maybe in the
who
finale,
knows?
we'll
I would
see a
also
podium.
put personally Luke Wolstow in my top three. Speaking of whom, he's actually one who replied positively to me asking for an interview. So we will be in dragging Luke Wolstow to the commentary box right here. If I actually can do that because my Discord screen is a little too small. There we go. Dragging him in right now, Luke Wolstow, our race winner. Won the first race. He's won the 9th race. He's with us right now. You've just fought yourself back into title contention. First and foremost, how do you feel?
Yeah, no, it was a good race. Definitely, I'd done a very different strategy to everyone else. I knew that's what I needed to do. I didn't want to do the same strategy, but soft medium worked. Extend the softs out a lot, so you obviously you don't lose out towards the end, which I did, and yeah, I'm very happy with the strategy. I'm very happy that it worked out. So yeah.
Yeah, is it
Pleased.
safe to say that the DRS and the toe on your soft stint really helped saving those tires to go to the mediums?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely, if there was no DRS, I would have got dropped fairly soon. I just had to make sure I kept track position in the first stint. I didn't want to drop too far back. I knew I was going to pit, two or three laps earlier than the hard runners, so I'd have a slight undercut. Obviously, I'd suffer at the end of the race, but I just managed DRS well for the end, and I was basically unpassable. So.
Yeah, it was a tough few laps, I must imagine, with 2 drives behind you, really eager to get that victory. Riley Mackay and your own teammate Wilson Hall trying to pass you wherever possible. How did you keep your cool head right there? Because that was insane.
Yeah, no, I know I had lower wings than basically the whole grid, and I know I had more battery than Wilson. That was for sure. That's what my engineer was telling me, and I knew I had more battery than Riley as well. Because my engineer was telling me, so I was just making sure I kept second position, because on the last lap you want to be P1 or P2 if you want to fight for the win. Third isn't really an option, so I was very happy that I was P2 onto the last lap. I'd rather be second going into the last lap, just because I was much faster down the straight. And yeah, it worked. Kept out of trouble in the first stint and the second stint, and yeah, it was very clean on the last lap. And yeah, GG to Riley for keeping it clean.
Yeah, a bit of a possible sensitive question coming up right here. But the fight with your teammate, Wilson Hall, 27 points behind the championship leader, has reduced his gap now down to 12. Had he won the race, it would have only been 2 points. Has this ever crossed your mind, or was this your own glory you wanted to pursue?
I'm definitely going for it for myself. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I've had a rough season this season. I haven't really got the results I've wanted to get, just with incidents, stuff that you can't really control. But yeah, I was until the season's over, I'll try win every race I show up to. So.
Yeah. So next week, Brazil. I've got to know: is it going to be all or nothing, or are you going to be careful and try to do the best you can?
It's gonna be all or nothing again. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a risky strategy again, to try to make sure that I do something different, put the strategy in different places where Pete makes other drivers think what I'm gonna do. So that's what I intend to do, and yeah, I just intend to make it awkward for everyone else next week. So yeah.
Nice. All right, I'm really looking forward to the season finale now. Epic, anything you'd like to ask?
I haven't fully got a huge question, but the main question: what was the pressure towards the end? Because of course you had your teammate closing up to you. You got the rest of the grid closing up to you. Did you feel any sort of heat that you had to make your move for the lead in that hairpin, or was it just cool, calm, and collected?
I mean, I had a bit of pressure going to the last lap. When you've got someone behind you, 3-lap pressure tires, and he's obviously eager to get past because he has got a slight pace advantage over me. But then I also still want to be behind P1 because I want to get the DRS because I know I'm faster down the straight. You got to position your car in the right place without getting into any incidents, which is the hard part. And but yeah, I was in the right place at the right time. I wanted to be second going on to the last lap. I was ideally going to overtake after sector 1 on the first DRS straight, but it was just a little bit too far away, and I was under pressure from Wilson as well. And I mean, it all worked out. I was faster than Wilson down the straight, and I had more batteries. So yeah, it was alright in the end.
Fair enough. Good luck for the final race.
Thank you, lads.
Cheers for joining us. All right. Wow. An interesting insight. He's going to go aggressive next week. And that we can confirm for you viewers already. Luke Wolstow, race winner in Miami, race winner in Bahrain as well, now within 18 points of the championship leader. Wilson Hall within 12 points of the championship leader. This is going to be an epic finale if I've ever seen one here in the third fastest tier in WOR. Make sure to spread the word for next week because you really, really, really do not want to miss the season finale, especially after what we have seen tonight. I don't think Luke Wolstow is going to be the only one who's going to go all in. I think Wilson and maybe even Dea are going to be the same, especially after what happened to Dea tonight. It might be an extremely interesting race to watch. So, next week, Brazil, same time, same place. Make sure you're there or be square. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Epic, any last words from you?
I don't know, just make sure to tune in next week,
Yes.
'cause if you don't, I'll know.
He's going to find you. Anyway, thanks for joining us once again. See you next week, same place, same time. Until then, goodbye.